All right, folks, we are wrapping up a June month. It was definitely exciting. It is June 30th, 2024. We got an important update for you here, Sunday night live session. If you guys haven't already, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our updates. We're bringing it to you every single day. Haven't been doing as many lives as I like to, but life gets busy this time of year. I know it is for everyone. So without further ado, I'm going to get right on into this update. I want to get through my portion, and then I want to get into some Q&A at the end of this. We've been talking about some things that I think, have sparked some interest and some conversation and some debate. And it's always interesting to see who gets triggered by us just throwing out a couple ideas. Hey, XRP is kind of setting a new standard. XRP can be used as a world reserve currency. Some of us are treating it like a world reserve digital currency. And call us crazy all you want. I tell you what, I still remain as solid as ever in our thesis, and the data is starting to confirm it. We've moved along here. We are just a few months away now from this election cycle playing out, and we've been warning about how the activity, the chaos starting to pick up. I'm going to show you here with a couple data points here tonight exactly what I'm talking about. Quick look at the charts though before we get started. The nice thing about going live here Sunday evening, 10:30 on the East Coast, 7:30 on the West Coast, is we have seen the markets start to open up in Asia, and we've seen these futures markets start to open up. And then, of course, for cryptocurrency, we trade 24/7, 365, so we can observe that Sunday night pump, which is what's taking place right now. Now, we probably shouldn't call it a pump because we're only up about 3% for Bitcoin. Well, actually, it was about 4.5% at one point, just within the last day. This is the 4-hour chart, though, and you can see last Monday is when we got that wick below 60,000. That was a wick that actually took us down to 58,350. So a big pullback, but then we have climbed back up here, and then we really turned it up here yesterday into today for Bitcoin, back up to 63,400, building a little bit of momentum here. 3,500 for ETH was achieved. Right now we're sitting at just below it, 3,495. For XRP, we had gone up to 48 cents. This is interesting because this is the Qcoin chart. And on Qcoin, it's reading that we, didn't even reach 48 cents, which is very interesting. On my Coinbase chart that I was looking at earlier today, we were well into 48 cents. So that's interesting to see. And now that's, what's different this time around about XRP trading is that it is listed on way more exchanges. And so remember, we've seen this in the past where some of these assets just start to go parabolic on some of these exchanges. Exchanges shut down. That's something that we've been preparing for in our exit strategy. Or if you're like me, we're just reallocating some of these digital assets with an intent to actually buy back a lot of my bag when I do make a move when XRP goes to $5, $10, $5.89, somewhere in between. We're going to be making moves along the way, and that's part of our program. Now, right now, we've been observing an incredible rally. With that being said, the data tells us a different story, and the streets are being set on fire. So we add that into our equation as well. When we're trying to come up with our investment thesis, we're like, okay, far right just took over Europe. Le Pen, her party's taken over, and they're setting the streets on fire is what's taking place right now. I'm going to show you exactly what's taking place right now. This is from Bloomberg. Le Pen, far right, wins French first round and chases majority. Macron's party comes in third, more than 10 points back. The final round of voting in France will take place on July 7th. Really interesting how they do it. Definitely different from over here in the United States of America. But nonetheless, you can see, I'm not going to show any scenes of it, but right now there's some crazy scenes coming out of France, Europe, and some activity going on for sure. And if you look at what happened with the markets too, when there was that big swing, the markets over there started to take a hit as well. Now they're starting to recover, and now they're actually starting to bounce back a little bit, kind of like what we saw to finish off our trading day on Friday, is we saw the stock market rally to new all-time highs for the S&P 500, and then everybody, after reacting to, okay, Trump's probably got this, it's going to be a Trump victory, markets did a little Trump pump, and the Trump pump is coming, by the way, but then they reacted to, oh crap, well, now what happens now that we've realized that Joe Biden's there but not there? What's going to be happening for the next 4 or 5 months as we do a peaceful transition? And so this is where this has gotten interesting in the United States of America. to serve his country, President Biden should leave the race. This is coming out of the New York Times, I believe this was, right? New York Times, right here. Nick Sorter sharing that one with us. Inside paper. We just had a family meeting for the Bidens this weekend. And it's being reported members of Joe Biden's family privately trashed his top campaign advisors at Camp David this weekend, blaming them for the president's flop on Thursday's debate and urging Biden to fire or demote people in his political high command. This is from Politico. So we saw as soon as the debate wrapped up, it was a complete 180. In fact, they were telling us that the insiders started to freak out as soon as the debate started. It's so clear how exposed this media machine has become. Everybody was telling us, oh, everything's fine. No, everything's fine. No, it's normal for a president to only show up twice a week after he wakes up at 10 a.m. to go do one meeting, go have ice cream, and then go to bed. And it's not a matter of even getting political. I wouldn't want my grandparents partaking in this state of health. You know, anybody you know at this point in someone's life, you put them, you let them rest. You let them enjoy the last days. You don't be president of the United States of America, but now it's exposed. Clearly they knew. Clearly they knew. Clearly they know. And this setup here, this big switcheroo that's about to be pulled, and the uncertainty, once again, back in Europe, the uncertainty caused a little bit of disruption in the markets. The uncertainty now, the stock market here in the United States went up to all-time high, but actually closed the day in the red. And so we're going to see how the markets open up. Bitcoin, always a leading indicator. Right now it's pumping. So we'll see if this week is going to be good for the stock market or not. But we're starting to see it, the concern in our equities markets, trying to justify what should we do right now. We know we can't justify these valuations. We're seeing insiders like the CEO of NVIDIA has been dumping over $100 million worth of his stock has been dumped in just the last couple weeks. And we're seeing other insiders absolutely offload. We're seeing longtime Wall Street legends like Stanley Druckenmiller talk about over a month ago that they already took profits on NVIDIA. They aren't trying to squeeze the last 5-10% out of this market. But the lying media machine, just like we're seeing with the politics and the current events, same thing with the talking head pundits that are trying to shill you into the traditional portfolio that gets sold to you by the Wall Street brokers. And now they're trying to figure out where we're going next. As jobs get harder to find, stocks could be in trouble after the best first half to an election year in half a century. Now, I've been showing you guys the jobs numbers. We've already lost over 560,000. Already lost 560,000 according to Macro Edge. And remember that 25%, 1 in every 4 jobs that was reported last year. Let's pause, hold up 1 minute. 1 in 4 jobs reported last year actually didn't happen. It was a lie. Just like we've been saying, it's all a lie. And if you actually go take and observe what's happening on the ground, you'll see it for yourself as well. Once the unemployment rate starts creeping up, it's pretty hard to stuff that back in the bottle, says Schwab strategist. It's a tough one to keep this genie in the bottle. Once it gets out, you're in trouble. And this is the sign right here. The S&P 500 is at a record. That's where we all want to go. That's what we want to continue to see. But we're going down a clear path towards a recession, a correction at the very bare minimum. Doesn't have to be the end of the world. Doesn't have to be a bigger crash than, the great financial crisis, the dot-com bubble, or the Great Depression. But like I've been saying, if the dot-com bubble and the great financial crisis had a baby, that would be our current market. A little bit of AI, a little bit of tech, a little bit of pump it up. Just like during the dot-com area, put .com at the end of your name, stock goes up. Nowadays, say you're going to leverage the metaverse and AI, stock goes up. People don't even know what they're talking about. Stock goes up. First, the labor market was too hot for the U.S. stock market. Now it could risk cooling too quickly. Investors this year have been flocking to and guys, I'm not trying to make a joke about this. This is real people. Hundreds of thousands of jobs being lost. We're on the pace for 1 million job losses this year. I'm not happy about this. I'm actually mad that they're lying to us about this. Investors this year have been flocking to a narrow pack of mega cap stocks for safety, waiting for the Federal Reserve interest rate cuts. This whole pump, this incredible election year pump that we've been having, is off the expectation of cutting rates. False premise, false thesis, if you would just go back and look at history. One idea is that even if the economy sputters, this powerful group of companies will continue to kick off a profit. But another, more worrying narrative has gained traction in markets around the potential for the jobs backdrop to quickly deteriorate. Quote, the reason why it is dominating the discussion now is the pickup in unemployment, says Kevin Gordon, senior investment strategist at Schwab, pointing to its climb to 4% in May. Remember, the Fed's unemployment target was 4% for the end of the year. 7 months early, we have arrived at their end of the year target of 4%. Uh-oh. Once you do start to see it creep up, it's pretty hard to stuff that back into the bottle. Yeah, the trend is not your friend if you're trying to get a job here in the United States of America. A fear is the Fed might wind up lowering rates to help an ailing economy rather than cutting rates to establish a soft landing. Jobs creation averaged 250,000 a month in the first half of 2024, according to Bankreg's Mark Hamrick, a senior economic analyst. He expects June's report, due on Friday, to reflect a steady unemployment rate but weaker hiring, which is a indicator of what's coming. And we've been saying how the hiring has already slowed down. You're hearing firsthand accounts of people saying that I've applied for 500 jobs and I can't get employed. And don't get me started on that. I mean, some of these guys don't have what it takes, and they're trying to figure out why no one will hire them, and they're too busy trying to be woke than actually provide value to a company. But that's another story. Quote, if either of these key metrics fail to match expectations, it could raise concerns about the risk of a more significant slowdown in the job market and beyond. The economy so far has been navigating the Fed's long road of higher interest rates without blowing a gasket. The S&P 500 index on Friday booked its best first half to an election year in almost 50 years. I forgot that. That was the last trading day of July. So that, little Trump pump took it, all the way up there to 5,500. And this leads to the best first half to an election year in almost 50 years for the S&P 500, and a positive backdrop for July, typically a very good month for equities. Yet within the Fed, views on labor market resilience appear to be broadening out, especially as the ratio of job openings per person has dropped to 1.2 from a peak in 2022 of 2 per seeker. I love how they word these things, right? The views on the labor market's resilience appear to be broadening out. That's a nice way of saying, American people, you are screwed unless you got some real skills. And even if you got skills, the technology is, replacing some of the high income jobs. We know this. This is a different economy. We're seeing Walgreens is laying off 50,000 people and shutting 2,100 stores. That's a perfect example of what's happening right now with the big box retailers, the big box stores. And so we have to be adaptable. We have to be able to adjust right now. One of the things I've been harping on is making sure that we're bringing it in. First and foremost, a lot of folks are too busy trying to figure out how to be an investor when they don't even have a bag to invest, right? There's a saying that we use, these guys are messing around and they don't got a pot to what in. Okay, that's kind of the same thing, right? Unless we got a bag, what are we doing trying to play around with it? And I'm talking even to myself. I only have so much to invest myself, even though we're having very good success, making great money. Life is well, blessed, can feed the family, and have a little bit left over to invest, a little bit. But once again, even top income earners over 100,000 are still living paycheck to paycheck, aren't they? In the survey, perception is reality. And you're starting to see the surveys where American people are seeing the writings on the wall and the layoff notices are starting to hit. They're starting to see their company is posting job postings, but they're not actually hiring for those jobs. The job postings are just to make the company look solid. And once again, remember, when the layoffs do hit, stock price goes up. This is the disconnect between Main Street and Wall Street that will continue to expand and widen till the election occurs. And even if the election pump continues throughout this year, please remember, and I really believe this, that although our stock market could continue to rally into the election, The situation on the ground, the real economy will not. Will not. The real economy doesn't get any relief between now and the election. No matter who's getting elected, no matter who's getting, the leading in the polls, no matter if Jerome Powell does come and cut interest rates by 100 basis points. If Jerome Powell came out and cut by 1%, 100 basis points, well, that would shock markets because it'd be too much. But I'm saying there's no relief that he can give to this market between now and then that's going to change what's already started. It's a snowball effect. Now, I want to get into this, guys. You guys let me know in the comments down below what you think about BitBoy Crypto Ben Armstrong getting a little bullish on gold, because it has me a little concerned. I'm going to be honest. Okay, BitBoy, he's seen the light, and now he put out a tweet last week talking about how, gold is going to be a better store of value than Bitcoin over the next 500 years. And I probably agree with that, right? But now he puts out another thread. He says, if you don't understand what is happening with gold right now, you couldn't possibly understand the global economy. Repatriation is occurring all around the world, led by African nations and India. China also buying record amounts. It's interesting. India bought more in the first 4 months than they did all of last year. They are cleaning out the vaults. I haven't just been saying this. I don't just pull this out of my you-know-what. No, they actually are cleaning out the vaults. China also buying record amounts. Here is what you're missing. They are buying back their gold, or simply buying gold in China's case, with US dollars, meaning all the vaults are now sitting on a lot more dollars and a lot less gold. Guess where those dollars go? Back into the circulating dollar supply. If it were crypto, what would that mean? All of a sudden, a ton of locked up supply comes back into the circulating supply. Yeah, exactly. This is how BRICS is accelerating our downfall. Trump is going to be forced to fire our remaining bullet. The last thing. The one last thing he said he wouldn't do. The public will cry for it, and against his initial inclination and pressure from his advisors, Trump will introduce the US CBDC because conservatives will beg him for it. I believe the crisis most likely will be hyperinflation. Okay. I agree with a lot of what he's saying. Insert Ripple's US dollar. I've been making some videos about the Ripple's US dollar, their stablecoin, trying to provide a little bit of clarity, trying to bring up the fact that, hey, Ripple doesn't have to come out and openly say and tell the world, hey, we're backing our stablecoin by XRP, right? But we know the XRP's on their balance sheet. So as an issuer of a stablecoin, show me somebody who's better fit. Besides the Federal Reserve, backed by the largest military in the world, which once again, everybody gets confused about the term backed. Everybody think, Ripple's stablecoin is going to have to be backed 1-to-1 by XRP. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they don't even have to formally declare it. It's on their balance sheet at no cost basis. The amount of XRP on Ripple's balance sheet, I'm including their escrow, even though what they have in their escrow, they don't include on their financial statement on their balance sheet. But that's proper accounting, GAAP procedures. That's the proper way to do it. But for the sake of this argument, they're sitting on, 50 billion XRP or whatever it is. Just the XRP that they have in escrow, which is actually 40 billion in escrow, and then they have probably another 10 billion on top of that. Just that XRP, let's just round up to 50 cents for easy math, right? They're sitting on $20 billion worth of XRP. In the XRP outside of the escrow, let's just round up and say that they're sitting on $25 billion worth of XRP. That doesn't include the cash on their balance sheet. That doesn't include, the recurring revenue that's going to generate more cash for them. That doesn't include their plan for the Ripple stablecoin. They have new businesses now with the custody solution. Just 2 days ago, on Friday, Ripple's custody, which is what they're calling this new product, is called Ripple Custody. They just updated it, actually. And so the point being, I agree with what Ben's saying about the US dollar being destroyed and basically BRICS. And once again, everybody wants to see the formal announcement. Like, it has to come out and be said by somebody in front of a teleprompter and a podium. It has to be an official statement. They can't just see what's happening in front of them. Look at the deals that are being reported. The same thing that I've been saying with BRICS. They don't have to formally join BRICS to ditch the US dollar. That's the point. Ripple doesn't have to formally say we're backing our stablecoin by XRP, but we know they have the XRP on their balance sheet at zero cost basis. And I'm making the case that if I were on Team Ripple, and I'm just Joe Blow, I'm not on Team Ripple, despite people thinking that I'm a shill for Ripple. I'm not paid by Ripple in any sort of way. Why not use it as your competitive advantage? I don't understand why you wouldn't. And I believe that they are, by the actions that they're taking. By continuing to relock XRP back in that escrow, that means that they believe that the future value of XRP is going to be greater than today's present value that they could just dump if they wanted to. If the haters and naysayers, like they were saying, if they actually were dumping on us, why are they returning so much XRP back into escrow where it gets locked back up for 40 months? It gets locked back up for years. And with this stablecoin play, one other competitive advantage, this is nothing fancy. This has nothing to do with XRP. Ripple just acquired a trust company, Standard Custody and Trust, in New York. That gives them a competitive advantage in that they don't have to have a banking relationship. They don't have to pay somebody, and have deposits on somebody else's books. They are going to be their own custodians of the collateral. That's another competitive advantage, right? Circle has to keep their T-bills with, some bank, and they have to keep their cash with some bank. And I'm sure that they have a couple different banking relationships. And, once again, at their levels, you're not paying as much. But once again, it's just another advantage. And you don't have to back it 1-to-1. I'm just saying, if you said, hey, we believe that we're going to keep a lot of XRP on our balance sheet, and we're going to fully back with collateral, with T-bills, with cash, our stablecoin, but we still have cash outside of that collateral that's been posted for the stablecoin. We still have $1 billion cash. That's what Ripple's sitting on right now, guys. They still have $1 billion cash, and then they still have 40 billion XRP in escrow, plus $5 to 10 billion outside of escrow. They're sitting on $25 billion worth of XRP, which is a greater number. The largest IPO in the history of the world was Saudi Aramco at $25.6 billion. This is what's so interesting about their IPO whenever it does happen. If it ever does happen, they don't necessarily need to go public. If SpaceX were to go public right now, it would be the largest IPO by magnitudes, by a long shot, right? The current valuation of SpaceX is like 500 billion, or it's hundreds of billions. You guys can fact check me on that. But Ripple, with just what they're sitting on, I mean, they're already set to IPO at a much higher valuation than a lot of these magnificent companies that we see today that are at the top of our stock market, the stocks that are actually keeping the whole thing propped up. I didn't want to miss that super chat from Legacy Rider. Slowly, then all of a sudden with a 20 spot. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for your support. That's what's fooling so many people. So many people want to see XRP price go up now. I have people under my post today where I further explain this whole stablecoin deal. People posting a meme, a GIF of a guy yawning. Oh, this is boring. I got people saying XRP is still at 47 cents. I got people calling me Ace Ventura for my shirt. That's fine. That's fine. I thought that was hilarious, actually. That was the best diss. Is somebody said, this shirt looks like Ace Ventura, the pet detective, Jim Carrey. That was good. I really liked that. That was funny. But the point being, guys, is that everybody's getting worn out, tired, frustrated, mad, and they're missing this fundamental picture that's being painted right here before us for us all to see. Once again, I've never really trusted Circle completely. I felt like they were better than Tether. Tether, I have no idea what they're holding. I have no idea what they're backing there. The speculation has long been that they had a bunch of Chinese commercial paper that they actually had given loans to Evergrande too. They had Evergrande bonds. We know how that worked out. And remember, we were called crazy for Evergrande too? That was another one of those. They called us crazy for Evergrande, and then boom, it goes bust. One of the largest bankruptcies ever in the history, one of the biggest liquidations in the history of China. And it's not over. You still have, what is the other one? Country Garden. the other big real estate company there. It's all imploding right now. And so, once again, they can call us crazy all they want. What we're looking at is fundamentals. And what we're looking at is a couple solutions that have presented themselves. One being gold. It worries me a little bit that BitBoy, he's going to call himself the supreme commander of the gold army now. I'm waiting for that one. BitBoy, he's going to have to get a gold grill if he gets any of his teeth knocked out. He keeps on doing that boxing there. And I guess shout out to BitBoy, still around, still doing his thing. Very controversial. But the point being is that people that were never mentioning precious metals, it was all crypto, it was all focused on that, are starting to realize what we've been saying. The boring stuff with BRICS and de-dollarization and we were crazy, and that's boring. It's boring until you lose the reserve currency status. It's boring until hyperinflation hits your country. It's boring until there's no food on the shelves. It's boring until you're going through a civil war, which is what's happening. We're seeing other countries, debt, currency, liquidity crisis, leading to internal chaos in their countries. We don't want this here, but it appears that might be a setup that we're kind of going through right now. Either through stupidity and incompetence or by design. And I'll let you guys speculate on that. I see Dennis drops a 5 spot. Moja Loop blogged 5 African countries going live with XRP soon. Gave Stefan Thomas Coil RE unbanked. Started ripplefoods.com. Nice co-branding. Very interesting. I'll have to look at that. That kind of sounds scary. Kind of sounds scammy, but maybe that's something. I'll go take a look at that. Moja Loop's legit for sure. We know that partnership with Ripple goes way back. Absolutely. And that's the thing is we're still in an environment where we're waiting for regulations to get done. And they're right around the corner with stablecoin legislation right there. Once again, MiCA just went live today. So MiCA's officially law in the European Union. And what's happening? Well, Binance is delisting Tether's Euro coin. Uphold is delisting Tether US dollar off of their platform, along with 5 other stablecoins as well. And if you haven't already moved your Tether over, I believe that Uphold already has. For those of you guys that use Uphold, if you held the stable coins that they were going to be delisting, they already moved them into USDC for you. Okay. Now I got a couple other cryptocurrency things that I want to get through, and then we're going to get to Q&A, guys. I'm going to take a sip of my adult beverage. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. I appreciate all of you guys. Cheers. Oh, BitBoy. Okay, let's get into it, guys. We had massive victories last week. Absolutely massive in the courts. The legal battle. I did wave the red folder in one session last week. You bet I did. Because we're having absolutely massive victories. Let's get right on into it. A big win for Clarity over secondary market sales of digital assets. This one from Judge Amy Berman Jackson has just dismissed the SEC's claim that secondary sales of Binance's BNB token qualify as securities under the Howey test, citing Ripple Judge Annalisa Torres' opinion that the economic reality of the token's transactions mattered when applying Howey. In her opinion, she states, quote, "The government's reliance on the assertion that the crypto assets are the embodiment of the investment contract and its argument at the hearing about the nature of the technology and the independence of the platform and the performance of every token is not enough, standing alone, to bring secondary sales of BNB under the investment contract rubric. Moreover, the agreement is somewhat inconsistent with the singular theory that the government has been advancing since this action was filed. We aren't saying that the coins are securities. We are talking about investment contracts." Full decision. And this, once again, reiterating, the tokens themselves are not investment contracts. The investment contracts, the ICOs, those types of offerings, how it was offered matters. Stuart Alderati, Chief Legal Officer of Ripple. Hinman's 2018 speech was a fairy tale that a token could magically morph between a security and a non-security. The SEC's lawyers told Hinman that wasn't the law and his speech would create market confusion. Friday's Binance decision again tries to bury the ghost of Hinman. Now, let's pause for a second. The ghost of Hinman? Guys, do you see? Brad Garlinghouse saying that Gensler could cost Biden the election. Talk about applying pressure. This is in the middle of a lawsuit. How do you think that they're feeling about this lawsuit right now if they're willing to call out the head of the SEC saying that he's going to cost Biden the election? Calling out Hinman, the ghost of Hinman, is finally gone. This is the chief legal officer. Guys, we've won this thing. This thing is over. We're going to cut a little check and be about our business. And really the only thing that we're waiting for is to see if there's going to be an injunction on on-demand liquidity sales. That's it. Creating more confusion, insisting that an asset that was subject to an alleged investment contract is itself a security as it moves forward in commerce and is bought and sold by private individuals on any number of exchanges and is used in any number of ways over an indefinite period of time, marks a departure from the Howey framework that leaves the court, the industry, the future buyers and sellers with no clear differentiating principle between the tokens in the marketplace that are securities and tokens that aren't. No such thing as morphine. One cannot argue with the general proposition that once a thing is deemed to be a security, it remains a security. The thing has not changed its nature. The question is not whether the token is a security. The question is whether it was offered as or sold as a security. Once again, the oranges were not the security. The oranges were not the investment contract in the original Howey test. Case going all the way back to the 30s, involving orange groves. And the oranges themselves were not the contract. The investment contract, right? That was the security. The oranges were not the security. And Jeremy Hogan adds on as well, says, don't forget the judge's criticism that the SEC's oversight by litigation is not the best way to oversee crypto and leaves market participants without clear guidance. Even the judges are starting to question this approach. So the oversight by litigation getting called out, getting criticized in this ruling. We also saw the Chevron case. Massive deal, not just for the SEC, even though there was some things that kind of seemed slanted towards the SEC and directed towards the SEC. It actually put all of the three-letter agencies in check with the Chevron ruling. So that's fantastic. Then the other Supreme Court ruling that we got last week, in a 6-3 ruling, they struck down the SEC's own court system, is basically what they'd created. Instead of having to go through federal courts and allowing folks to be tried by a jury as per the Constitution, the SEC had created their own courts outside of that system, and they had been trying cases against securities violations, and this was completely illegal. We should have never had to have this case, but once again, who are we dealing with? An agency drunk on power that just continues to press forward even when the law has clearly stopped them. This is not a gray area. No, the law has clearly stopped you, and they continue to push forward. So the Supreme Court struck down that whole system, basically saying, no, you need to take people through the federal court system and allow them their constitutional rights. You're not going to have some separate court system. That's not how this is supposed to work. And they were put back in check in that ruling as well. So the Supreme Court ruling there, absolutely massive. And this is, as I've been saying, the inflection point. We're starting to be cited in these rulings. The standard that XRP set is being cited in this ruling. This is when the whole world, starting to learn about this crypto thing. What's going on here with XRP? What's the rest of the crypto space? Wow, XRP's in the clear. The rest of us, we're in the clear, but we did ICOs. We're in the clear, but we did a launch pad. I wonder if they're going to come back on us. Uh-oh. And even though they're meme coin, Justin Bieber coin or whoever's going to be the next celebrity to launch a token, even though Bieber coin is not going to be a security in and of itself, is it going to be offered as a security investment contract in a backdoor little launch pad offering? Give it to all the shills. The shills get in early. Everybody gets a little bag. We pump it up to our communities and dump on them. Time after time after time again. And this is the crap that I've been trying to call out and been saying this is what the SEC should be going after. The clear law is there. They have job security for years to come if they actually went after the fraudsters. But instead, here we are in the middle of this, staged lawsuit with the SEC And I want to make one last point here. This is very important. And then we're going to get to Q&A. Last week, despite the losses that the SEC took, remember, they did file the lawsuit against Consensus for MetaMask staking. And as I've warned about, there's kind of a gray area in the staking process. In the staking area, there's still some uncertainty. I've made the case. I think if you're a Bitcoin miner, you're putting forward your own effort. That's not an investment contract. If you're an Ethereum miner, you're putting forward your Ethereum into a staking pool. That's not an investment contract. But it's not stopping the SEC from saying that staking is an investment contract and citing MetaMask and even going after some of the largest Ethereum staking pools that are validating the network right now. This is a big problem. This is from Vet. The SEC is coming after the largest ETH staking pools who secure the network with over $32 billion worth of Ether and is a top 6 market cap. What is proof of stake without pool staking? And so this is Lido and Rocket Pool. Lido and Rocket Pool staking programs are securities. And so, once again, how do you bury the bodies with Hinman, the free pass speech, and everything that took place there? You do this lawsuit now against Consensus, not over Ether and not over the ICO in those early sales that definitely were a security, but you go after the proof of stake, the new method to this. And what's going to happen from this? I mean, imagine if they're able to get the law in their favor on this ruling while we wait for Congress to pass laws, and, you know, is up to the courts right now in the meantime. What's going to happen here is if these platforms get shut down, these networks are going to become even more centralized because you're only going to be able to basically put up your assets to a mining pool if that mining pool is registered. Because the SEC, if they get the court precedent that the mining pools and you participating in the mining pools is an investment contract, if they get that ruling, this screws up the whole program for all proof of stake. Now, I'm not saying that that should be the case or I want that to happen. The SEC is filing the lawsuit regardless and making that case. It's up to the courts. And in the meantime, it's going to be waiting on Congress to finally pass legislation. Here's the beautiful thing about being in the XRP community, though, is our decentralized exchange, the first decentralized exchange ever created, really, has been going since 2012 when we first got started. And now we've added an AMM to our DEX that is completely decentralized at the protocol level where you are not participating in any sort of mining pool. You are participating in a liquidity pool, and the yield is generated by the network itself. You are not relying on anybody else. No humans, no other companies. You are relying on this digital network. This protocol of validation is spitting you out yield in a completely decentralized way. On the flip side, Uniswap is being sued right now, MetaMask, and suggesting the whole staking program is a security as well. They're all getting caught up in this. Meanwhile, we're getting these utilities on the protocol level decentralized, and what's interesting is that we're preparing to scale. We're making sure that our XRP ledger remains fluid for payments while we create the EVM sidechain. And what Ripple's doing is they're launching their stablecoin on the XRP ledger and on Ethereum. And I believe that one of the advantages of that is going to be with that EVM smart contract and with their stablecoin issued on Ethereum, the level of interoperability will just be completed, right? You basically have the main ecosystem of Ethereum, and you've brought it over all of the EVM smart contract capabilities to that sidechain with the throughput of the XRP ledger. It's unmatched other than other layer 2s on Ethereum. But as we've seen, none of them have been around for 10 plus years like XRP. Many still have issues. Look at Solana and others, right? All of these platforms which still don't have the resilience, the strength, the throughput, and the decentralization of an XRP ledger. Now, is the supply of XRP decentralized or is it centralized? Well, Ripple has a big bag. I've talked about that being a competitive advantage, a strategic weapon for Ripple. You look at how they're using it, they're treating it as a world reserve digital currency of the new financial system. And they want to make it as liquid as a G10 currency. Well, how do you do that? This is liquidity that otherwise would have been off the XRP ledger. By issuing the stablecoin on the XRP ledger, Ripple's bringing all that liquidity over to the XRP ledger. They've already processed $60 billion worth of payments since the company got started, which is a drop in the bucket to the overall payments landscape, but it's a start, it's a trend, the growth is accelerating, and despite the SEC lawsuit, we've still managed to grow significantly as well. How do you grow even further? Well, you launch a stablecoin. How do you bring that liquidity to the XRP ledger, which inherently is going to increase the value of XRP? You launch it on you launch that stablecoin on the XRP ledger, bringing all of that liquidity that you were settling in traditional payment rails with centralized exchanges. They were even settling the XRP transactions for ODL were being settled on centralized exchanges. They weren't being done on our DEX. Hence why we weren't really seeing a reflection on price from ODL. Right? There's been a whole debate. Does ODL impact price? Well, the reason why ODL doesn't impact price is because it's basically an OTC over-the-counter market for ODL. I'm just simplifying this for everyone to be able to understand. So it's off the public records, the public order books. That's why it's not reflected. But ODL is a network of liquidity that Ripple has built that they do have to set aside some XRP. How much XRP have they set aside for ODL? It's tough to tell. It's definitely billions of XRP. And once again, that's taking supply of XRP and quote unquote locking it up in on-demand liquidity network. Now they've said that some of that is going to start moving to the XRP ledger DEX through the AMM, where Ripple won't have to source liquidity themselves. They'll be able to source liquidity from the XRP ledger, where we're all participating and contributing to these deep open public pools of liquidity. But the AMM is just one of the utilities that we're getting on top of the others, right? Decentralized identity, that EVM sidechain, and the EVM sidechain lays the blueprint for also doing other sidechains. So if there was another blockchain where we wanted to be able to pull something that they have to ours, we could do that. There's really not many that are worth it, to be honest. If we want to issue Bitcoin on the XRP ledger, we can just do that. We don't need to create a side chain, right? The reason why the side chain is being created is because it's going to be a smart contract side chain with EVM capability. And we're basically we're taking all of the years of EVM work that's been done by all those developers. As soon as we flip that switch and turn on that EVM sidechain, we're bringing all that progress that they've made in development over to the XRP ledger. And so Ripple's setting the standard and the blueprint for the stablecoin, which can be followed up by other issuers that want to issue other currencies, other real-world assets, tokenizing real estate, bonds, equities, you name it. It's all coming. The blueprint's being laid. And if you need a place to store the collateral, you don't want to store the collateral at a bank with counterparty risk, well, you can store it at a standard custody and trust, which Ripple just acquired. And you can take advantage of Ripple's custody solution and know that you got your assets in a trust company, much different from a bank, which lends against your deposits. Trust company doesn't. That's the difference, one of many. And that's a big deal, right? You still have some counterparty risk, but not as much. And like I said, we need more legitimate issuers on the XRP ledger. Who better than to issue a US dollar on the XRP ledger than a company that we know is flush with cash and XRP like Ripple? That's the difference. See, there's been a lot of issuers, not just on the XRP ledger, but on other blockchains as well. Do you trust them? And we got issuers all the way from Lil Pump, one of my favorites, Lil Pump. Not his music, but just the fact that he's launching a meme coin and pumping it up. That's a pretty funny joke to me in and of itself. Remember, the Lil Pump token in and of itself is not a security, but it is pretty funny. And Lil Pump better watch out, right? you got issuers from Little Pump all the way up to legitimate issuers like Franklin Templeton, which are now showing up, and they've tokenized mutual funds and real world assets on the Stellar blockchain, along with others, Wisdom Tree. And so you're seeing a lot of tokenized assets on Stellar have already arrived, or at least some have already arrived. But like I said, it's not just a matter of tokenizing the assets on the chain. You also want that liquidity, that movement, that trading between the assets. That's what burns XRP. That's what's going to lock up XRP. That's what's going to lock up value on the chain and move value on the chain. Now, hope everybody's doing good tonight. Let's get into some Q&A. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. Cheers, everyone. How is XRP positioned for the tokenization market? Well, David, as I was saying, we've already had thousands of tokens issued on the XRP ledger, but many of them are from issuers that I don't trust. You don't trust, right? We've already had tokenized gold on the XRP ledger. Is there actually gold backing that token? No. Did it stop me from buying it? No. I still bought some just to make sure that, that wasn't going to be one of them, right? And so I bought, I think it's called X Gold. X Gold was issued years ago, and I threw a little bit of XRP at it just to, know that I had it. And I've been saying now for a while that that's just one of many. That's just the start. You look at what they've done over there with Reaper and Ascension. They've been tokenizing gold and silver on the ledger. There's a new company that's coming out, and they're set to issue gold and maybe silver too on the XRP ledger in Q3. It's getting hot up here in the office. I have to get my AC going. So we already have tokenized gold and silver on the XRP ledger, but once again, do you trust the issuer? It's just like, I mean, whoever you're storing your gold with, if you're storing gold with somebody, you want to make sure that they have that gold in the vault. Well, it's the same thing here. You want to make sure that Ripple, to back their stablecoin, has cash and T-bills in the vault. And what's interesting is I think that people will be able to follow Ripple's blueprint, and they'll be able to show other institutions outside of our country. Excuse me. So I'm talking about Ripple can go to SBI Holdings and help them launch tokenized Japanese yen. They could go to, they already are going to all these central banks. Right, they're working with dozens of central banks to tokenize their central bank digital currency on the XRP ledger. That's already happening. So they've already laid the blueprint. Years ago, David Schwartz said, we can help someone launch their CBDC in one day. One day. They already have the template laid out. So the XRP ledger is absolutely ready for tokenization. It's just a matter of legitimate issuers actually doing the issuing of the assets. It's one thing to issue the token, but can you actually redeem for what you're saying you have it backed by? That's the main issue. Just can't wait for the final court ruling on the SEC versus Ripple case. True. Yep. What XRP needs are off-ramps to fiat. Well, on-ramps and off-ramps, and that's where the stablecoin comes in. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, Camille says, California, very interesting situation down there, isn't it? And I believe too, yeah, if Newsom is their pick, I think that that's not going to work. I think right now it's a for sure Trump victory. If you want me to be honest with you guys, it's a for sure Trump victory. Sorry, I'm here to be honest with you guys. And if I'm wrong, you can smash a pie on my face, smash an egg on my face, and make fun of me all you want. I think it's a done deal. Whether you like him, whether you hate him, I think it's done. I think that the Democrats have messed up in a major way here, and their credibility is really in question. And I just think that there's too many people that are upset with how things have been the last few years. Yep. That's what's interesting. CBDC Euro will be Ripple. Just read the laws of Micah. Yep. 10 cents. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So the max it can take is 10 seconds and it has to be below 10 cents of cost. Yeah. So basically they're making it instantaneous at no cost. And how do you do that? Right? You have to have some sort of DLT technology, and even if it's permissioned, right? Even if it is a private chain like Ripple created, that's where you would be able to do that. But what's interesting is that they have the deal with Bank of England going back a long time now. We see that they've met with the IMF, Christine Lagarde, while she was there at the IMF, and she was formerly at the European Central Bank. Or I guess she's now at the European Central Bank. She was at the IMF. The connections run deep in Europe, right? And so, yeah, they're further along with adopting this technology with Mica going live. This is having ripple effects right away. Mica going live is having an impact right away. Trump is the best pick for crypto. Well, yeah, and he's going to continue to drop taxes. He's going to cut regulations just like he did in the first go at it. And yeah, our economy will be opened up. And our markets are going to pump in a massive way. The Trump pump is going to be insane. I firmly believe that. When clarity comes, the dexes will empty and leave just escrow, face-ripping rally, institutional FOMO. Well, that's the thing. You are seeing dexes on Solana settle billions of dollars in transactions literally off of meme coins. Just wait till we get institutions showing up in a regulated environment to actually start moving liquidity. It's going to make what we've been doing look like child's play, and that's exactly what it is. Dennis, I appreciate the chat. Make crypto great again. Yeah. Deutsche Bank have tested with XRP, and I find it perfect what they said. They can't wait. The bosses give it. Yeah. So everybody that's used it has pretty much said that it gives them a competitive advantage. The main problem that they've had is that it takes away a source of revenue for the institution. They can't charge the high fees. So unless they start doing it at scale, really all they're doing is they're giving a benefit to their client that really it's great for the client, but it takes away from their bottom line. And so, that's part of the reason why they're hesitant to adopt this technology. But you're starting to see with the laws with Mica there, they're forcing it to happen. Yep. Yep. Let's see. I wanted to show you guys too what we're looking at for the U.S. economic calendar this week. Keep on dropping your guys' comments and questions down below. And if you haven't already, please make sure that you like this video. Appreciate you for doing so. U.S. manufacturing PMI on Monday with construction spending. That'll be good. Jerome Powell is going to be giving a speech in Portugal. Okay. We get job openings coming in on Tuesday, and then we get initial jobless claims on Wednesday. Okay. We're also going to look at the ISM, ADP employment, a lot of jobs. This is a big week for jobs. We get the unemployment rate. That's going to be the big one. That's coming in on Friday. Minutes of the Fed's June FOMC meeting too are going to come out on Wednesday. So we're going to get to peek a little bit more behind the scenes, see what they're doing. Markets will be closed on Thursday, but I expect they should be open back up on Friday too. So we'll watch that. Markets closed Thursday, open back up Friday. Do I have any thoughts on XLM? Yes, I do. I think the XLM, has a good story. I just want to see more partnerships. I want to see more utility of XLM. They've done a lot of consultations with important people, important companies and institutions. And you've seen Franklin Templeton has already chosen the Stellar Network to tokenize. But Franklin Templeton also said that they're going to be operating on like 30 different blockchains and like validating for 30 different blockchains. So it's not like Franklin Templeton just chose Stellar exclusively. It's just that they've already tokenized hundreds of millions of dollars of real world assets on Stellar. So that's massive in and of itself. as far as Stellar, I think it's a good hedge against XRP. Any sort of market share that Stellar and XLM does get, you're going to be able to partake in that. And even if it's just XLM following along like XRP, then that alone is an opportunity to make some profit, right? So for me, I do hold XLM. It's not my biggest holding. And I do plan on offloading a lot of my XLM this bull run. I'm not married to XLM like I am XRP. And the reason is because I've never had to worry about XLM being delisted. And, for XLM, it's just, I'm just not as married to it like I am XRP. So I'm willing to trade that whole bag that I have for XLM. In fact, I already have. In the past, I've already traded XLM completely out of XLM, rolled it into a bunch more XRP, and then I've since picked up another bag of XLM. My original cost basis on XLM was like 6 cents when I first sold it off at over 30 cents. And then I rolled it all into XRP. And then since then, I picked up another bag of XLM, but I think it was at like 11 or 12 cents. So it's at like break even or in the red right now. Dennis, that's true. Franklin chose Stellar because they had clawbacks at the time. So they said that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons. Yeah, that's one of the reasons. And that's a great point. The clawback amendment that we just got is one that folks aren't paying attention to. It's not some great big new utility that really gets folks excited, but it's so important because regulated institutions need to have clawbacks implemented for their tokens. In fact, I'd be interested to see if Ripple's going to have the clawback for their token. That's going to be interesting. Dennis, I see you dropped another super chat there. 5 spot. Institutional price squeezes are just reality, like stocks going to zero, commissions over time, and shortening of settlement. So that's the thing. The conservative predictions take us to a 5 to 6 trillion market cap this bull run. But that's just the start of this whole entire sector going to 30 to 50 trillion over the next 10 years is kind of the expectation. The adoption growth rate that we follow is similar to other technologies, and it's been steadily growing, and we're about to hit an inflection point like we've been talking about here. The main issue is just the access, the ease of access. When folks don't even realize that they're using crypto, that's when we're going to be at that full mass adoption moment where people are just using CBDCs and they don't even realize it's a CBDC. They just see it as US dollar on their phone. They just see it as US dollar on their bank account. That's all they know. We effectively already have a central bank digital currency, right? How much of US dollar is reflected in digital digits on a screen versus cash? Most of it, right? So for all intents and purposes, we already have a central bank digital currency. We're just arguing semantics on whether or not. But the thing about it is, with the new technologies and programmability, that's what we want to protect ourselves from. I would love to protect ourselves from the Federal Reserve central bankers as well, but that's another conversation. That's a long battle ahead for us fighting that fight. I don't think that we've heard from Ripple as far as whether or not they're going to do clawbacks on their stablecoin. Maybe we have. I'm going to go look that up. Maybe I'll have to ask David or something. Somebody asked me about Flare and Songbird. Milton, thank you. Zach, what's your thoughts on Flare and Songbird, how they work with XRP? Do you hold any? Really, what happened here is that Flare and Hugo, they used the XRP community to drive hype to their project, to airdrop, to XRP holders. Was a great move, great marketing move by them, well played. I don't think that they've made the best decisions, and the community voted on how the rest of the Flare was going to be distributed, and so that was the community vote. That's decentralization at work. I'm not going to complain about it. I don't think it was the best move because it doesn't keep. It doesn't expand the community. If Flare would have decided to continue distributing to all the original people as was planned in the initial airdrop, it gets more people in the ecosystem versus now saying, oh no, now you have to, keep on holding your Flare and, whatever the program is now, right? the ecosystem, the community is not growing by doing that. That's the problem with that. The other problem that I have is that they should have dumped it all at once. Just rip the Band-Aid off. By slow dripping the supply of Flare to the community over years to come, I don't see how there's not going to be continued selling pressure. And unless there's significant demand, the selling pressure will dominate the price of the token. So although what they're doing is great utility, what they're doing with XRP, they're going to bring F assets. F assets just went live. We've been waiting a long time for them. They just went live. And, that's great. You're bringing utility to non-smart contract platforms like Dogecoin, like XRP. That's great. But the problem is that you're seeing that in the XRP ecosystem, we're already building out side chains and other bridges and bringing utility to our layer one. So how much of a need is the Flare F assets going to be? That's the main question I have. I'm just very critical of Flare, and maybe I'm too critical of Flare. Maybe I'm underestimating how much demand there's going to be for the F assets and some of the other utility. What they've done and what they've built is great. It's just, the ability, there's so many people that are making money on Flare, but they keep on delegating because they just keep on getting that drip, that cash flow. Everybody wants yield. Everybody wants to be a farmer. Myself included. I like farming. I like planting a seed. I like watching it sprout and grow and harvesting while I tend to my garden. That's fun. I want to do that with my money too. That's the holy grail of investing. Passive income. The way that they've done it so far is great. That's fantastic. The problem, although you're going to keep on receiving that Flare, what's the Flare going to be worth if you continue to trickle the supply of Flare into the hands of the community over the coming years? It's just sell pressure. It's like if Ripple were to just start, gifting XRP to the retail community. Yeah, we'd all be, oh, yay, Ripple's doing giveaways. And Ripple's not doing giveaways, by the way. If you see anything like that, it's a scam. Please watch out. Definitely a scam. If you see a fake Brad Garlinghouse video saying that he's doing a giveaway, scam. They're not doing giveaways. And if they did, it wouldn't really work, I don't think, as far as making XRP price go up. You might get more adoption. So if you did a one-time hit, just rip the Band-Aid off and get the sell pressure over with, then you can start to build from there. But I think that the real mistake that they've made with Flare is this slow drip. It just sell pressure for the foreseeable future. There's 20 months left of Flare airdrops. Okay, once that's over, then it gets interesting for me. Once that's over, then that gets interesting. The good thing of what Flare's doing, like I said, I'm very critical of Flare. I'm going to be the first to admit that, and I'm very critical with many projects. You guys know that. In regards to Flare, though, they're building real utility. They're building some good stuff, and as long as they can continue to do that, then maybe there won't be sell pressure. Maybe folks will receive those airdrops and then they'll just put it back into delegating. And that's great. What I'm looking forward to, another Flare XRP connection, is when the XRP ledger gets the Oracles amendment, which is like 56D or something. I don't even know which XLS it is. But anyways, we're going to get an amendment for Oracles on the XRP ledger. And one of the advantages I think that we can take is that we would be able to tap into Chainlink oracles. We would be able to tap into Flare oracles, right? And so that gets very interesting, where you'd have another XRP Flare connection right there with the oracles, where we could start to tap into that oracle system that Flare is developing. And the incentive there that they've built over there is fantastic for the FTSOs. The Flare time series oracles, paying people to bring off-chain data on-chain, to aggregate data, and the whole focus on data. That's a smart play by Hugo. Smart play. I'm trying to think if I have any Flare. I've been trading in and out of Flare a little bit. I think I have some. I think I do have some. Ryan, thanks for the update, though, on the 20 months of the Flare airdrops left. All right, guys, we have ran it up for an hour now. I just want to say thank you for spending your Sunday evening with me, wherever you're tuning in. Maybe you're in a different time zone. It's been 5 o'clock somewhere as we enjoy an adult beverage, going through the news. We got another big week ahead for jobs. And then obviously we're going to continue to watch if we get that pump that we started off here. Bitcoin was back up here to start off the day. We'll take a quick peek at the charts before we sign off here. If you guys haven't already, please make sure that you like this video and you've subscribed, notification bell, so you are completely tapped in. And we're looking at a Bitcoin at 63,382 at the time of this recording as we wind down, just below 3,500 for Ethereum, and XRP just below 48 cents. So we'll see if we can continue some green candles into the new week. You guys let me know in the comments down below. I do read most of the comments and I try to get back to you, and I do appreciate the feedback, the criticism, and all of the love, all the super chats tonight. Thank you so much for all your support. If you guys are looking to get tapped in, just head on over to ZachRector.com. That's where all of my community resources are available, including if you're looking to get precious metals, we get them delivered directly to your door or roll over the 401k retirement account. We just had a 2-hour Discord weekly live call yesterday. That's where I sit down every single Saturday with our community. Private call, private questions. We go off the record. The recording is made available for our Patreon subscribers. So if you want to subscribe and support through Patreon, we greatly do appreciate that. But then if you want to participate in our Discord weekly calls every single Saturday, you come on into the Discord and then you can join us. We did a 2-hour session yesterday talking everything. It was a lot of fun and I really do appreciate it. David Douglas with a 10 spot to finish it off. Give Zach your support. David, I appreciate you. Everyone out there listening, thank you so much. I will see you guys tomorrow. God bless you all. Thank you.